So this is found in this section under the Chaplains Academy, and we've updated this page here that says course offerings. At the very top shows the current 4 offerings that we make available in our Chaplains Academy. Most of them provide 25 hours of continuing education. Put my circle on so that you can see a little bit better. And this is a brand new one that I'll bring to your attention. This will be available starting in the fall semester. It is a full certification by Christian chaplains and coaching as a certified Christian life coach. It's a 4-course program, 160 hours of CE over 4 semesters, 4 3-month semesters. That will allow you to actually become a certified Christian life coach. We're really excited about this program. All of our CPE supervisory educators are certified coaches, and anyone who takes CPE also receives the benefit of Christian coaching for all 4 courses, 16 months worth of education and Christian life coaching. But for any of you that may be interested in becoming a certified life coach, a Christian certified life coach, this is going to be the course for you to consider. And that will be available in fall. I'll be sending more information out. As you scroll down, we've got 2 courses in development that we're excited about. One is on trauma care by Beth Broom that will be giving you an opportunity to actually become a certified trauma care specialist. That'll be a 10-hour continuing education course. And then Sydney Millage is working with us on developing biblical victim care for people that have been abused. She says 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience physical violence at some point in their life. And she's got a program and resources that are brought into a church that you can use like in a small group setting, and you'll be able to learn how to use that material by Sydney as soon as she finishes that. These 2 courses we expect to be available by or before the end of this year, but they're in development right now. We've got an exciting collaboration with Kingswood University, and all of these courses that they offer through Kingswood Learn are now available for our chaplains to take, and they're absolutely free. You can take basic Christian beliefs or brief church history. You can take sharing your faith, how to read the Bible. All of these courses, you can just simply click on that enroll for free button and go take it. And if you need clinical hours, like if you need to get your documented clinical hours, you can pay $35 and they'll give you a certificate of completion that you can use to demonstrate that you've completed the course and get CE credit for it. These are amazingly well done courses in collaboration with Kingswood University. We've got college level, bachelor's level Christian courses coming in our work with Campus EDU. That's coming, and you'll have full 3-credit, actually bachelor's level courses that are going to be available to you through Campus EDU. That is going to be $400 per course. And if you want to actually have that applied for credit towards a bachelor's degree, you can pay the upcharge to get, as long as you pass the course, you can get it accredited towards a bachelor's. So if you want to work on an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, you'll actually be able to get credit for courses that you take right on our Chaplains Academy. And then finally, we have with Kingswood University in development, coming soon, a brand new associate's degree in chaplaincy, an accredited associate's degree. It's a 2-year degree that would actually provide credit toward a bachelor's degree. And guess what? Our 3 courses, Basics of Chaplaincy, Christian Counseling for Grief, and Prison Ministry Care, our 3 courses are included in that degree for credit towards the associate's degree. And then you could get that degree and then go on and get your bachelor's degree if you want to. Then you could consider taking clinical pastoral education and earn credit towards your master's degree if you want or needed to do that. And we're just really, really excited about all the things that are happening educationally with our ministry. So stay tuned, and there will be more to come on that. All right, so how do you handle grief? How do you work with somebody who has grief? When someone loses a loved one because of death or pending death? Or what about divorce? How often is someone experiencing a divorce for whatever reason, and the church often doesn't really feel equipped to do something about it because divorce is just not well received, and we don't provide much in terms of helping people that are grieving as a result of their divorce. So, how do you handle grief? We're pleased to collaborate with the Church Initiative to offer great resources for our chaplains to use in their church and their ministry. GriefShare and DivorceCare are simply fantastic programs that we recommend to our chaplains. Our topic and our speaker today is Samuel Hodges, president of the Church Initiative, providing excellent resources to chaplains and churches for grief and divorce care. The title of today's talk is Compassionate Care in Crisis, Integrating Grief Care and Divorce Care into Your Chaplain Ministry, wherever you're serving, as well as in your pastoral care ministry, with resources that you can bring into and use in your church. Content for today is based on when a crisis hits, you're going to be there. And you're going to be the one providing comfort and support. But what happens when the individual leaves your care as a chaplain? When you showed up in the moment of crisis, but now they're leaving your care, then what? Where can these hurting people receive continuing help for the long-term effects of grief that stems from the death of a loved one or a marriage breakup? This is where GriefShare and DivorceCare come in. With these biblically based support group programs, you will be able to have a resource to provide ongoing, effective care to multiple people at once. I'm really happy to have Samuel with us today. Sam, go ahead and share your screen and and unpin me so that Sam is the primary speaker, and then we're off to the races. Good to have you with us today, Sam.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be with you. And like I said, I'm president of Church Initiative, which is the parent ministry of Grief Share and Divorce Care. Again, honored to be here. And I just want to take a minute to thank you all for your service. I want to thank you for being on the front lines of grief and trauma ministry, and really for bravely standing where most people don't want to go. And whether you're a chaplain for the military, first responders, a healthcare facility, whether you're walking with individuals during the end of life, in prison, or helping people who are struggling with addiction, the support that you provide for people who are struggling is really, really invaluable. And so we just want to thank you for being the hands and feet of Christ, and really for offering compassion with integrity, and then also providing people with access to and helping them understand God's comfort. What you're doing really, really is priceless and essential work. And we really do consider you all partners in ministry. Um, Throughout my time in grief ministry and also serving as a pastor for a few years, one of the things I've heard chaplains share is that sometimes there's an inability to provide sustained support to people who are facing painful, life-altering events. And while you're able to meet individuals in the early days after a crisis, your capacity to be able to provide continued support can often be limited. And not only that, you might struggle to find effective, affordable resources to meet the needs of the many different people that you minister to. And another challenge can be that you're dealing a lot of times with people who have various beliefs, some of whom don't want to explore God's word. And it can be difficult to know just how far to go in sharing your faith and the truths of the gospel without possibly driving a person away. And as you know, when people face various hurts and trauma, they experience a vast range of resulting effects. There's mental, emotional, physical, financial, spiritual challenges, and sometimes it can feel impossible to know just what to say or how to actually help. And this is where Grief Share and Divorce Care come in. Our 13-week Christ-centered support group resources really enable you to offer extended care to people who are grieving a death and to those who are struggling from a painful marriage breakup, either by offering the program directly or by referring individuals to existing programs near to them or even online. And these programs feature insights and practical tips from Christian counselors, pastors, and healthcare professionals. And the weekly sessions cover topics that are important to people in these life trials. Also, GriefShare and DivorceCare have been carefully designed in a way that not only feeds believers, but it's also sensitive to non-believers. It gently guides them into biblical truth and sometimes even faith. And this takes the burden off you in terms of figuring out how to communicate effectively with vulnerable people of various belief systems. And we've had people from all different faiths and those without faith share how vital grief share and divorce care was for them. Now, it's important to add that our turnkey programs are affordable and include numerous free online resources and ongoing coach support to help you start and run a sustainable grief share or divorce care ministry. And we've also found that as group participants find healing, they often go on to volunteer to lead future groups or support the ministries that initially helped them. And so our mission as an organization is to share God's comfort with people who are experiencing a painful life crisis, such as bereavement, separation, and divorce. And we do this through our non-denominational, biblically based, Christ-centered support group resources. And for the past 30 years, we have equipped over 30,000 churches to host our programs across the nation and around the world. And millions of people have experienced God as their source of comfort, hope, and healing as a result of participating in grief share and divorce care. Now, as crisis responders, you witness firsthand the immediate life-shattering impact of grief and divorce. But this initial trauma creates long-lasting and far-reaching ripple effects. Once these individuals leave your care, many go on to suffer long-term mental and emotional effects. Many suffer silently for years after their trauma, pushing down and burying their pain under hard protective layers. And I'd like to introduce you to three of our program participants who've experienced such things. The first is Marnie. I remember interviewing Marnie in her home over 10 years ago, and her husband died in a car crash, leaving her to care for two young daughters. And she shared how the second year after her husband's death was more difficult than the first. She said, my first year of grief, I was in a fog, but everything came crashing down on me that second year. Depression hit, and this realization that he's not coming back. I'm in this for the long haul without him. I had anxiety about everything. I felt like I couldn't handle things, like I couldn't be a mom. Those feelings I had at the beginning would come back and flood over me where I couldn't breathe and my head hurt. It was a big struggle the second year. Mike, he attended GriefShare after his wife died. But several years before her death, he had witnessed the death of his close friend at work who died after falling 125 feet to the ground off of a tower. And this trauma affected him for years. Mike shared, it affected me so deeply that I couldn't hold a job. I had nightmares that plagued me for a long time. I've been a Christian all my life, but I didn't go to God. I chose isolation. I withdrew from my friends, and I suffered alone for almost 9 years. Becky, she's one of our divorce care participants, and she says after the breakup of her 29-year marriage, she said, I struggled with depression. I had a loss of appetite, felt very overwhelmed. I cried much more than I normally did. I remember being in a mall and all of a sudden having a panic attack. I didn't even know what a panic attack was. Sometimes I would just be doing great, laughing, having a good time. And the awareness that this is real, that this is happening to me would overcome me. I'm normally a very exuberant person that likes to be around people, but I found myself drawing back and wanting to isolate. Liz, she experienced divorce and she was left alone to take care of 4 children and living in a new area. She didn't have any support and had to deal with the breakup on her own. And she said, I grew up thinking I could handle anything. I was really strong. I felt like if I asked for help, that would be weakness. But I was coming home from work and I was having migraine headaches, and a doctor said I had an ulcer. So on the outside, everything appeared fine, but there was a struggle going on between what I was showing the world and what was really happening. It was exhausting. But at some point, you can't cover it up anymore. It's kind of like you put too many things in your closet, and pretty soon the door is going to bust open. And that's what happened to me. There was so much stuff down there that it couldn't stay down anymore. And once it starts coming up, it's like a Pandora's box. It was excruciating pain. Now, while those stories show the unique ways that grief can manifest in a person's life, they're also representative of what people in your care are experiencing behind closed doors. However, after attending a GriefShare divorce care group, those individuals were able to find the support and the encouragement that they needed to start healing. Mike said, when I went to my first GriefShare session, I knew this was exactly where I wanted to be. There was so much comfort there. Even though I'm more of an introvert, everybody was accepting that I just felt, everybody was so accepting that I just felt the presence of the Lord in this group. And Liz, similarly, she said, wow, I have to do something different. My ways aren't working at all. So going through divorce care and finding out what God says about my situation helped. Sometimes at my group, I'd say, I'm struggling with this. And then I find out that other people were struggling too. And we talk about it and figure out how to get through it. And so GriefShare and Divorce Care, they're 13-week programs, and participants meet once a week for those 13 weeks. And the groups can be held either online or in person. Both support groups are for people of all ages, genders, backgrounds, ethnicities. As I mentioned before, both believers and non-believers will benefit from the biblical truths that are presented in these materials. I want to take a moment to explain just how these programs work. Each support group has three components. There are weekly videos. The videos are about 30 minutes long, and they feature the insights from top Christian experts, Christian mental health professionals, pastors, counselors, authors. Then there's also, the videos also feature just the testimonies and stories of people who have lost loved ones or been through a divorce, and you're able to hear their insights and what they've learned as they grieve their losses. Then there's a discussion time during each meeting where people talk about what they saw in the video, and they also spend time talking about their what they've learned from spending time working in their personal workbook, which is the third component of the GriefShare and Divorce Care program. And so the videos feature people like Paul Tripp, Tony Evans, Joni Erickson Tata, Ron Deal, Zori Celis Davila, and many more. And the videos also contain personal stories that participants can relate to and be encouraged by. And the discussion that we talked about, which is a huge part of each session, because that's where a lot of the healing really takes root. And that's where people really start to understand that what they're going through is normal, because that's one of the things that we found in ministering to people for these 30 years is that many people, when they go through these crises, they feel like they're going crazy. And so it's very comforting for them to be in a group with other people and hear that they're experiencing the same things. That's just very comforting to them. And it also, again, gives them the opportunity to respond to the video, share their stories, and hear from other participants. And then the participant guide, it includes journaling prompts, many articles, short Bible studies. And really what we're doing with these resources is helping people to understand just how God's word, what God's word has to say about their situations. And it also raises their awareness to help them to understand just how applicable God's word is to them. And we do that with the Bible studies, the journal prompts, and the mini articles, which are all based on scripture. It's a scripture saturated participant guide. And then a few other things about the GriefShare and Divorce Care kits. We try to make these programs very easy to run. We often want to present these when we present these to pastors of local churches, one of the things that we tell them is that if they can just identify one person in their church who'd be interested in getting this going, we'll be able to help them build a team and lead a sustainable ministry for many, many years. And so we've really made these programs work in such a way that it doesn't take a lot of expertise or training to be able to offer them. We want to make it very easy, accessible even for lay people to do it. And so when you order a GriefShare Divorce Care kit, you're going to get everything you need to start and sustain a group. And so what that means is that you get 13 videos, and the videos, again, can be viewed online or on a DVD. You get a leader's guide that has weekly agendas and discussion questions for the sharing time. You get participant workbooks. There are promotional materials, which include short videos and ads for social media websites, print and email. So we have videos that you can even customize and add information about when the group might be meeting at your church or at another church that you want to refer people to. Again, social media ads are also included. So we just want to make it so simple for you to be able to launch this program and even promote it. And then there's also access to our Leader Zone resource hub, which is filled with tools and all kinds of support for our group leaders. One of the highlights there is our valuable online training videos. There are over 30 GriefShare and DivorceCare training modules. They're all about 5 minutes long. And there's also a training guide that an individual can use for self-study, but it can also be used by a group or a team that wants to go through and do the training together. But again, we're doing everything we can to equip whoever's leading these programs to be able to do it. And again, have an effective grief or divorce recovery ministry. The other thing that's really unique about our kits is that you always have access to a personal ministry coach who is able to answer any questions and guide you in hosting a group. And these coaches are people who have led groups for many, many years. Many of them are still leading groups in their own churches. And so I don't think there's a question you can ask one of our coaches that they have not heard before. And they are just able to help troubleshoot with promotion issues or how to handle, group dynamics that maybe have gone awry. And so they're just a valuable support, and they're available for free at no cost for as long as you are offering GriefShare Divorce Care in your church. Now, whether you're a chaplain in a hospital room, a nursing home, for hospice, first responders, military, or any other area of your life, you meet people who are suffering every day. And by hosting or referring to a community of GriefShare, or by hosting or referring to a community GriefShare or divorce care group, you'll have a place that you can consistently point people to for sustained support and care. And that creates bridges between individuals in your community and the help that they need. People are welcome to attend these 13-week groups multiple times and will find new levels of healing each time they go through. And many people who attend these groups, again, will eventually want to give back by volunteering to help with the group. And this creates further opportunity for healing and growth and a sustainable program that serves and strengthens the community. One of the things that we found is really interesting is that, right now, 25% of the GriefShare and new GriefShare and divorce care ministries that start every year are started by former participants. And so that's one of the things we like to help pastors and other people in ministry understand. Again, if you get this thing started, you're going to have people who are going to want to come back and serve on that team to keep the ministry going. And you're also going to have people who are going to want to go out and start these ministries at local churches. And so you got people who are just sharing the comfort that they've received from the Lord, and the gospel is spread, and many people experience God's comfort. And that's really what it's all about. All right. Now, while you can host a GriefShare divorce care group in any location, one suggestion is to host a group at a church. So you could do it at a library, you could do it at a YMCA, some community center. And we also want to suggest that you consider doing it at a church. And that way, people in your group will get accustomed to going to that location and realize that the church is a place of compassion, help, and care. And it can also often be a natural step for people to seek discipleship and community within the church body once their support group is over. We found that many people who attend our groups go on to become active members of the church that hosted the group, even those who had not been church goers before. And what I want to do here for a second is I want to play a brief video that shares some of the thoughts that pastors have about GriefShare and DivorceCare. Let me see here if I can get this going.
GriefShare is an incredibly effective tool for providing care ministry for people.
A support group where they can share what they're going through, where they can speak up, where they can hear about what others are going through and realize that, yeah, it is okay to grieve.
To be able to walk them through the scriptures that help them see what they're going through in light of God's plan on their life and how they can walk through that with confidence and a surety that God's got them through this and is taking them somewhere. I would say it's a crucial tool if you are leading a church or a ministry.
This fell right in line with our mission to be able to be a church, a community church that's helping meet the needs of the people. And what this program has done is allowed us to have even more of an impact.
Once we listed GriefShare on the GriefShare website, we found that a lot of people were coming that had no connection to our church or any church.
We had people from other parts of the country who are with different time zones even, who are able to share and able to be part of this group.
It's a fantastic tool as part of your outreach efforts where you are trying to be what the people around you and the communities around you need at different times. That's where I've been the most blessed by it.
That's an exciting thing to see them find healing in their moment, but also healing for their eternity. That's pretty cool.
And before I go on, I've got one other thing I want to share with you. I've got a great story from a chaplain who works at a prison in North Carolina. But one thing I skipped over in the presentation was an actual, one of the things that I skipped over.
Hold on a minute, Sam. Sorry about that. Anne-Marie or Jenny, did you find who that was and get them muted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Sam, go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, so I skipped over a sample of the GriefShare videos when I was going through the presentation. So I want to go back and play that before I read this testimony from the prison chaplain from North Carolina.
My husband, Mark, was God's greatest gift to me. He said that he had been feeling poorly since about 2 o'clock that afternoon. So I asked Mark to just close his eyes and just rest and go to sleep because they were bloodshot and red. And he said, I don't want to close my eyes. And I said, why? He said, because I don't think I'm going to wake up.
I was grieving her death before she died because I could see such a real decline. And I knew it was going to come, and I knew there would not be anything I could do about it. And I cried a lot.
When my mom called me, I heard on the other side of the phone, unearthly wailing and howls. Daddy killed himself. Daddy killed himself. And it didn't register. Daddy who? My father killed himself? What? And I just went into shock. I went numb. I could not process.
My phone rang and I looked down and there it was Dan. So I picked up and said, hey, Dan, what's going on? And it wasn't Dan. It was the state trooper. He says, I'm officer so-and-so, and your husband was in a very bad accident. It was just such a shock. And I just remember sobbing and crying. It was the worst pain anyone could experience.
Almost none. I mean, I didn't cry. I wasn't hysterical, but it seemed like I was in a different world. And it was so surreal.
I'm still learning how to navigate this next chapter without him.
My journey through grief was certainly much more difficult than what I ever imagined.
I remember throwing up all the time. I remember losing a ton of weight and not sleeping at all.
all the things that you cared about seem like they're gone. And all the things that you thought were true about life, you have to completely rethink.
It just felt like my purposes and hopes and dreams and all of that were smashed with his death.
There's days I wake up and I don't want to do anything. I've just been surprised at how lost I am.
I really felt like almost the needle on a compass, just going wayward with no clear path in mind, no clear direction in mind. I couldn't figure out what was I supposed to do. How was I supposed to navigate by myself?
Can you relate to these testimonies? Are you dealing with shock, confusion, and a lack of clear direction for life right now? Do you feel like the person on a busy highway who suddenly realizes, I'm lost? Everyone else seems to know where they're going and how to get there. But for you, life's different now, and you don't know which way to turn.
If you can relate to this, you're not alone. After the death of a loved one, shock and confusion are very common reactions. In fact, significant losses create so many questions and so many strong emotional and physical reactions that it can be frightening. You might have even wondered, am I going crazy?
But rest assured, as awful as grief is to experience, it's not a sign that you're losing it. We know that because we've been through it too. I'm Nancy Guthrie.
And I'm David Guthrie. Nancy and I have experienced the grief of losing a daughter, Hope, and a son, Gabriel, to a rare metabolic disorder. We know what it's like to feel desperately sad and to wonder if life will ever be good again.
We're here today to help you get your bearings as you prepare for what we call your grief journey. We call it that because grief is not an event. It's a journey that you take as you figure out step by step what life after loss might look like.
And fortunately, it's not a journey that you have to take alone. Welcome to GriefShare.
All right. So that was an excerpt from the first GriefShare session. And one of the things that is unique about the GriefShare videos, you'll notice that there are a number of people who were interviewed, and all of the 30-minute videos are produced that way. A lot of times, a lot of Christian training videos, they will feature one person at a podium teaching, and it's very helpful. But what we found is people really appreciate this style where they're hearing like a documentary style production. And so the level of production quality that you're seeing there at the introduction is sustained for the 30-minute video and across all 13 sessions. And again, people find that to be very interesting and very helpful because they're able to hear from a variety of different people talking about their grief experiences. And oftentimes the participants are able to identify with many people over the course of the 13 weeks. I believe, the GriefShare videos feature over 90 different people in the videos. And so anyway, it's just a lot of diversity in them. And we think that makes them really, really effective. All right. So just a couple of weeks ago, I was in my office and I got a note that came through from a chaplain in North Carolina serving in a prison. His name is Daniel Capps. And he wrote, "This is Chaplain Daniel Capps, one of two chaplains at Anson Correctional Institution in Polkton, North Carolina. I've been a full-time chaplain at the prison now for a little over 3 years. Upon arrival at the prison, I had no thought of beginning any kind of grief program. However, over and over, unresolved grief issues continued to surface during interactions with the female population. Eventually, it became apparent that something needed to be done. My previous home church had a GriefShare ministry, and I'd heard many positive things about this ministry. Since I was unaware of any other grief ministry, I decided to give it a try. GriefShare exceeded our expectations. Neither of us chaplains were anticipating GriefShare to be such a comprehensive program. We have been eyewitnesses to the effectiveness of GriefShare for those that are willing to invest themselves in the threefold process. We have just begun our 5th group, and we always have many more requests than seats available. All said, we are very grateful for GriefShare and the impact it has had on every inmate that has finished the program. I suspect that as long as I am a chaplain here, we will continue to utilize GriefShare at our facility. And so again, whether you get GriefShare started at a church and you're referring people to GriefShare after you've interacted with them following the initial stages of a crisis, or you're bringing it to your primary place of ministry, whether that's a nursing home, an Air Force base, a prison, you can see transformation in the lives of people who go through GriefShare and DivorceCare. And we really want to encourage you to consider starting a group. Now, there are 4 easy steps to getting started. It's basically number 1, you need to order a kit. And then you need to just review the basic instructions on starting a group. And then step 3 is watching the short online training videos. 4th step is promote your group in your community, and then start ministering. And as I said, if you have any questions, even in the consideration stage or after you get a kit and get started, our free ministry coaches are available to help. You can contact them anytime, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, they've helped thousands of people start and maintain groups and ministries, and they can give you tips not only on how to get your ministry going, but also how to fund it if you have questions about that. And then you also have 24/7 support online through our Leader Zone Resource Hub, which again is filled with thousands of articles, the training videos I mentioned. There's also an online forum, which is moderated, where our leaders share and ask questions. And then we also have a Facebook page for our GriefShare and DivorceCare leaders, separate pages, again, where they're able to share encouraging tips and strategies on how to have effective ministries. And they even share the success that they're having in their groups, which is always a joy to be able to see. All right, so I want to just thank you so much for having me here today. As brothers and sisters in grief ministry, we're united by our desire to bring God's comfort to hurting people. And this calling can be difficult, but I really do believe that the tools found in GriefShare and DivorceCare can help us provide sustained support and also help people to heal. And so that's why I'm really passionate about GriefShare and DivorceCare and getting these tools in the hands of people like you. And I just want to thank you again for giving me this time to share. And if at this time you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen. Jenny, if you would mind, go ahead and pin me for everybody, and also Sam, so that we see both of us together. There we go, multi-speaker. I guess we can do that way. That was fantastic, and I was not aware that your GriefShare materials has or is available and is being used inside of a prison setting. I can tell you we have well over 100 of our chaplains that serve in prison or jail settings, and several of them are professional vocational chaplains at a prison. I think that's going to be a fantastic resource. I hadn't even thought about bringing GriefShare into prison. So for any of you here that are in prison ministry, I would encourage you to look into that and see if you can get approval from the warden to bring a GriefShare program into your prison or jail where you're serving. Okay, questions? Hey, listen, before you ask a question, I want to remind all of you, we want you at our conference. We need you to be at the conference. Please go check out our conference on the website and sign up and come. We want to see you in person. These Zoom meetings are great, but I can't hug you in a Zoom meeting. And you're going to find a fantastic set of speakers and topics that will be at the conference in August at Charleston Southern University in South Carolina. And we really, really hope that you'll sign up for it. So, okay, go ahead with your Q&As.
So we have some people that are saying that, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Some people have done GriefShare themselves and really can attest to it. Some people are asking for Samuel's contact information.
Sure, I can provide that, and maybe I just send it to Jim, and he can send it out to everyone. But it's basically shodges@churchinitiative.org. shodges@churchinitiative.org. Be happy to speak with any of you about how we can get this going in your church or in some other creative way.
Okay, people are asking two questions. One is, are there support programs for dementia care? And the other question is, how would we find out if there's one already active, GriefCare or DivorceCare in our area? So two questions. One's about dementia care opportunities as well as locations.
Right, great questions. We don't have any materials to help people with dementia care. And but we understand that need is great, and we do hear a lot of questions about it. That is something that we are prayerfully considering addressing under the banner of just helping caregivers in general. So we've done some research into it. It's something that we think we want to do, but we're really just praying about the Lord's direction there. What was the second question? How would you find a group? Well, we have on our website, if you visit, it will prompt you to enter your zip code to be able to search for a group. And that way you can look around and see if there are groups near you or near the person that you're caring for. And that's probably the easiest way to find out where GriefShare and DivorceCare groups are meeting. So visit griefshare.org or divorcecare.org and enter your zip code or the zip code of whoever you want to care for, and you'll be able to see the groups that are meeting. And you have some abilities there to filter by day, by week, by start date. So you've got a lot of tools to help you find a group that's meeting at a time that's going to really help the people that you want to minister to.
Someone is asking, can this information be available for training a chaplain to better handle grieving people?
Yes, I'm certain that there'd be great benefit to going through the program. That's not how we've designed it for use. We've designed it primarily to equip people to minister to others, not as a self-study training program. But if you were able to, go through the program, I'm sure it would benefit you. There's just a lot of wisdom that's embedded in those 13 videos and the participant guide as well. I think the thing that it would really, as a chaplain, you've already had a lot of training on how to help people who are grieving. I think the thing that would maybe be eye-opening or helpful is just hearing the stories and the testimonies of the different people, and as they talk about how grief has affected them and what they've been through, the steps that they've taken, the things that were helpful. Maybe that might be helpful to you. So yeah, I'd say give it a shot.
Someone was saying that this was the first time that they had heard of the DivorceCare option, so they appreciated that. And then someone was asking, how can we purchase the packages? And then again, do you have anything for chaplaincy specifically?
If you are interested in learning about the materials, how to purchase them, I would encourage you to visit divorcecare.org or griefshare.org. And there's a tab at the top of the website that says host a group. Click there and that'll take you to a page that'll help you to understand how to get started, the different kit options that are available, and should answer most of the questions you have about starting a group. What was the other question?
They wanted to know if there was anything specifically for chaplains in your program. I know that Christian Chaplains and Coachings has a Christian grief counseling course, and encourage people to, if you haven't taken that, to take that. That will answer a lot of questions that people may have regarding how chaplains can help people through the grieving process.
Right. And yes, we don't have any specific materials or any materials that are specifically designed to help chaplains other than the tool itself, but no training that we offer for chaplains.
Yeah, we will be offering more training opportunities. Our certification course in Christian counseling for grief is designed for lay believers to have at least basic understanding of the process of grief and how to come alongside and ask questions and present the ministry of presence, create a hospitable, safe environment for them to talk things through with a process that our chaplains can follow. In fact, Sam, every one of our chaplains that has gone through our course, they have to take that course in order to become ordained as a chaplain so that they have that certification in grief care. But we also have trauma care resources and trauma-informed certification courses and PTSD courses and other trainings, and now degree programs that will include sociology, psychology. Like an intro to psychology is going to be a course that'll be available through Campus EDU. These are all important things for our chaplains to learn without necessarily feeling like they have to go get a master's degree in counseling. You can have a high school education and come alongside it and help somebody with grieving as long as you know some basics, and that's what our continuing education courses are kind of all about. But there will be more to come. Anything else?
There is more to come. If they attend the conference, there are several, there are 2 plenary sessions that talk about trauma, which involves some grief with that, as well as some information in the workshop. So by attending the conference, they will also get that information.
Yeah, that's actually a good opportunity to share that there's a chaplain is not a counselor. A chaplain is a spiritual care provider, right? So what we bring is a spiritual component to the mind, body, and spirit whole health of a person. Mental health issues impact emotions, physical health issues impact emotions, and spiritual health issues impact emotions. Well, the chaplain is a specialist in the spiritual care, which involves what we like to call pastoral counseling, but it's not psychological counseling. It's a completely different thing. So we don't like to refer to ourselves as counselors, but rather as spiritual care providers. And it's important to recognize the difference. But we do need to be aware of other sciences involving mind and body, right? So that we can recognize signs and know when we're in over our heads and be able to bring somebody to a specialist, or like in GriefShare and DivorceCare, be able to have access to resources that we don't have to be smart enough to have created ourselves, but we just have to be smart enough to learn how to use those resources and bring them in to a setting to help people that are grieving whatever their situation might be. So that's the difference kind of between a counselor and a chaplain. So stay in your lane. If you're a chaplain with us, stay in your lane. And when you recognize somebody that has a more complicated situation that's beyond your training and education, then refer it out. Have somebody that's a professionally trained person that you can refer that out to, and you just bring that ministry of presence. And my understanding of GriefShare and DivorceCare is that it's really more about presencing and listening and letting people talk things out in a safe environment than it is about giving advice or trying to fix people. So stop fixing people. Just love them. Would you agree with that, Samuel?
Yeah, we encourage the people who lead our groups to think of themselves as facilitators and not as counselors or teachers. The teaching, the advice really comes from the experts who are featured in the videos.
Right.
And it's really about allowing the people to process what they're hearing and then just being able to share. And again, like I said, just being with other people in that context is really healing in and of itself. So yeah, again, we tell our leaders, you're not a teacher. You just want to facilitate discussion and let the Holy Spirit work through the lives of the participants. And it's just worked phenomenally over the years.
Yeah, we love your material. That's why we're so excited to be able to collaborate and recommend you to our chaplains and people that know us. What else we got?
Someone was asking if you have resources for children that are grieving or experiencing divorce.
We have a divorce care for kids program, and we're making some changes to the way that can be accessed. Right now, it's a kit that a church can purchase. But in the next few months, we're going to make that a free downloadable resource that anyone can have access to, individuals or churches. So if you're interested in that, I just tell you to hold tight. I can send a link to Jim, and he can share that with you once those resources are available for free online. We just had trouble with churches committing to using those materials, the DivorceCare and GriefShare materials were just used a lot more. So we never updated them. They were created in the mid-90s. And so again, we're going to make those available for free. They're very helpful, but again, they do have a bit of a dated feel. But again, they will be available for free in the next few weeks to month or so. So I'll get you information about that. And then on the GriefShare side, we just have the GriefShare groups. We do not have anything for kids or for teens. There is a book that is coming out that is written by one of the GriefShare experts and her daughter. It's called Hurt, Help, and Hope. It's by Clarissa Moll, M-O-L-L. And she recently asked me to endorse the book, and it's phenomenal. And she and her daughter have just done a wonderful job with that book. And I think that's a great resource to give a teenager in particular, or child maybe who's, maybe 10 or so and up, to help them understand how to deal with grief. It's just a Q&A format book and just answers a lot of practical questions. What do I do with the clothes in my dad's closet, or my friends don't want to talk about my grief? What do I do? I feel sad all the time. I'm gaining weight. What does that mean? So a lot of answers to a lot of questions that are on the minds of teenagers as they're dealing with grief. And I can't recommend that resource enough.
And you said that book hasn't come out yet. It's coming soon.
Yes. Hurt, Help, Hope. So I've got a review copy here on my desk.
Fantastic. Why don't we, Anne-Marie, help me remember as soon as that book is available to add that to our website for great book reads. And Samuel, what we do is allow our chaplains to earn continuing education 2 minutes per page if they read one of our approved books. So we'll add that to our website as an approved book. Well, we have 3 minutes left, and we're going to have to draw this to a conclusion. And so, Samuel, I would like to follow up and chat with you about how we might be able to gain access for our chaplains to all those training videos. I know they buy a kit that goes through those 4-step process. What I'm hoping that you might be able to do with me is to figure out how could we create a section on our website for GriefShare that would link directly to each of your training videos and just kind of compile them in a package that our chaplains could go to. They could click on that site, they could watch those training videos that would link directly to you. Then when they finished all of them, they could apply for continuing education credit from us, where they would get CEs by going through your training, because we would want them to go through your training if they're going to be using your materials, but we'd also want to provide actual continuing education credit for them to be able to do that. That encourages them to not only use your material, but get the training that you offer, right? So if we could figure out something like that, I think it'd be great for our chaplains. Do you have any closing comments, Samuel, like to make?
I don't. Well, I guess I do.
Yes, you do. Sure you do.
I just really appreciate the opportunity to be able to be with you. And, we have had a lot of success by God's grace getting these materials into churches, but we really feel like there's just a lot of untapped potential when people take these ministries outside of the walls of the local church. And so I'm really optimistic that we can partner with more chaplains like you to introduce more and more people to the comfort that can only be found in Jesus Christ. And we'll definitely be praying for you. And thank you so much for this time.